What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast where every single week we're interviewing top entrepreneurs, top realtors, and just strip top badasses out there dominating their spaces. So people choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but instead to go out there and create big, amazing, epic lives for themselves and their families. So today, guys, another amazing special guest on the show. Our guest today is a very successful real estate agent, real estate investor, as well as a real estate brokerage owner operator. Again, we're going to go deep into his story, deep into his journey, and how he's kicking ass and creating success. I'm really stoked and honored to have John Costello on the show. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, Joshua. Thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. I'm a big fan of the program.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. I truly appreciate the support, dude. So before we get into what you're doing today, because I know you've got a lot going on, right? I mean, you've got a very successful real estate brokerage. You've got your investment stuff going on. But Before we talk about that, let's rewind the clocks. I'm always intrigued in our guest journeys that led you into this space in the first place. When we rewind the clocks, like how the hell did this journey start in the first place, man?
Yeah, great question. So for me, I actually don't come from the real estate industry. I come from the corporate world. So really my interest in real estate started, I guess my wife and I, Natalie, who is co-owner of the business and broker in charge, we began investing in real estate really we're 35 now, from the age of 25 on here in the Charlotte metro area. So wet my beak, got a little taste of it from that and, definitely sparked my interest. But in terms of actually entering the business or starting a brokerage for that matter, never really crossed my mind until really the last couple of years in my corporate role. I worked for an amazing company called, I don't know if you've heard of them, called Aerotech. They're a large global recruiting and staffing company. Just an amazing organization that really did a lot for me, invested a ton into my training and development. And then most recently for them, I was selling their outsourced engineering services division. And basically my job was to go in and meet with companies like GE, Michelin, right? Meet with their executive team, find out, okay, what products do you have on the shelf that you guys want to take to market, right? But just can't because your engineers, designers, and IT people internally are just too busy. So, my job is to help, understand their business and help them get that product to market faster, more cost effectively, more efficiently. So in terms of a job you could have, I mean, it was really unbelievable. They were paying me plenty of money. I don't come from money, and they were paying me plenty of money, so that wasn't the issue. I was growing professionally, getting awareness, raising awareness and kind of climbing that corporate ladder. Really a lot of things we shoot for in terms of, establishing yourself in a great company. But for me, and that lasted for a while, but for me, it just came down to I just wanted to do more, right? I want to be successful. Yes, I want to make money. Yes, I want to take care of my family. But how do I do that and also bring a heck of a lot of people with me? And just this vehicle has given me an opportunity to do that with my wife, Natalie. And it was a really hard decision. I'm not going to lie. It was definitely a scary one to leave that security. There's no question about it. But ultimately, we're really glad we did it. And we knew if we were going to do it, right, we had to do our very best to be different because, to go quit that security, to go start a real estate company that no one's ever heard of, we understand there's great brands, amazing companies been doing it 30, 40, 50 year head start on us. So we really knew that we had to approach it from a different angle and create something unique, because if all things are equal, why would an agent ever want to join us? So we kind of felt that way from the beginning and have put a lot of time, effort, our own money to, try to create that. And it's really starting to gain momentum now.
Yeah, love it, dude. So when you first entered the real estate space, because I know, you talked about your wife being an agent before you entered the space and you guys doing real estate investments. I mean, was the original plan to just go out there and invest and really become professional investors? Or did you know from like the start, have the plan of starting your own brokerage and going that path? Or did it evolve into that?
No, great question. So no, we knew from the beginning that, once we committed and talked through and decided that we were going to make a run for it and, open a real estate brokerage, that was the direction. There was no, hey, let's just be a husband and wife team for a while. We really wanted to build a great company that people really want to be a part of and buy into. So really, yeah, from the beginning, we knew that was the direction we're going to take.
Yeah, love it, dude. And before we get into the actual brokerage, one thing that you know, I think, and you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that has helped just fast forward, you know, your trajectory to success is in the corporate world, you identified your strengths and connected those dots, and were able to transition that in the real estate space. And you know, I'm speaking even my own teammates, man, you know, like people are like, well, what should I do for lead generation? I'm like, well, let's talk about your strengths and what you did in past careers. And a lot of people have, you know, they think, oh, I'm entering a new space, so it's a blank slate. They're not reflecting on strengths, weaknesses, how to connect dots, and how they shined in maybe other industries to carry that over. Can you kind of talk about, you know, what you learned in the corporate world, how you connected those dots, how you reflected on that and applied that to your real estate space to create this game plan?
Yeah. So for me, you know, I think the biggest thing that helped me in the corporate world was just one being held accountable, right? Like if you're not accountable and you're not self-aware of your weaknesses, and if you're not, especially in the company I came from, you're not making a conscious, dedicated effort to help others around you get to where they want to go, you just don't go anywhere in that company. So, you know, maybe at first, you know, as a 20-something-year-old kid out of college, my mindset was I need to do these things to make money. But over time, it just kind of, you know, the culture of this company I worked with, it just became a part of me and something that fired me up and motivated me way beyond the money. So really just, you know, putting others and helping them where they want to go and holding yourself accountable are the two biggest things I brought over. But also, I think what's been unique for me is that, one, having my wife who's sold real estate here in Charlotte for 12 years now, residential real estate, you know, being able, for two pretty big firms, being able to tap into kind of her lessons learned there, what she liked, what she didn't like, but also me coming in with really no expectations or way of saying this is the way real estate needs to be done and this is how it has to be set up. So I really came in with a fresh perspective and just opened myself up to the rest of the team. And, you know, kind of being humble with them and saying, guys, listen, I've only been in the business a couple of years. I need your help. I need your guidance. You're on the front line seeing things, like, please bring it to us. And pretty much everything we have here, I love to take credit for it, but it's not even me. It's our team telling us what they need, because that's just a huge part of our culture, which, you know, was also a big part of the culture in the corporate world I came from. So there's definitely a lot of parallels to it. And then just being able to come in with that fresh perspective and just having that open mind to, you know, really building it, you know, how we want to build it has been a blessing as well.
Yeah. So, all right. Love it, dude. So, all right. You take this big risk. I mean, you got this great job, great security, which, you know, I commend you on. I mean, so many people just don't take that risk in life, and they get stuck. Maybe they don't hate, but just something that they don't love for the rest of their life. And it's sad to see. And so you take this big risk, man, but you guys go, like you said, it wasn't like, hey, we're just going to become a husband and wife team and create success, and then maybe we expand here. You're like, dude, we're chips all in, you know, right? So kind of walk us through what that initial startup phase was and how that journey went. I'm sure it's evolved so much over this time.
Yeah, so coming in, I guess, first of all, I should note that really we've been in business 3.5 years, right? The first 2 years, we did not even try to grow. Actually, up until last week was the first external branding we've really done to the market. A lot of our marketing spend, because, you know, I'm sure you would assume a lot of our agents in the beginning phases were newer agents, a lot of potential, but newer agents. And I just felt like I needed to spend the money we did have on online lead generation. But to start, the first 2 years, we kind of decided, like, hey, luckily we were able to start the business with our own capital, right? So we weren't, you know, we didn't have equity partners that were looking for an ROI right away, but we just made the mindset of, hey, 31, 32 years old, both of us, we want to build a company that's going to last. Let's not chase the short money, right? And make a bunch of promises we can't keep and lose our credibility before we get started. So really the first 2 years, I didn't try to grow at all. We were at 5 to 10 people for quite a while, and I was cool with that. It was fine, because there was just a lot I needed to learn personally to lead a real estate company. So, you know, first thing I did when I got my license was I just bought a bunch of Realtor.com leads. Probably bought more than I needed just to do. Charlotte sits right on the border of North and South Carolina, so I actually had 2 states that I had to learn and learn the difference between the contracts and real estate commission rules in each state and all that. So I spent 12 to 18 months just doing as many deals as I possibly could while trying to build this up. stubbornness in me. I first thought, oh, maybe I can shortcut it. I don't really need to do real estate deals. I understand business. I can still lead people and help them. But I quickly realized that was a pipe dream, and I needed to learn the business at a transactional level before I could even think about leading a real estate company. So, I thought it would take a year. Joshua, it took 2, but we've been off to the races ever since. And really 18 months ago is when we really opened it up and rolled out different recruiting incentives and creating more awareness around it, where we're ready to grow now. And we've gone from, within the last 18 months, about 15 people to a little over 100. So all the growth we've experienced has been fairly recent.
Yep.
We definitely decided to come out of the gate cautiously just to make sure that we're not, we just had to get the infrastructure right. We went through 2 or 3 different accounting softwares, just a lot of those bumps and lessons learned to get it to where it is today. And we're still trying to make it better, but the foundation's strong. We have an operations team that's cross-trained. We just can really scale it from here. But that took a little while to set up, if I'm being honest.
Yep. Yeah, and I like that you brought that up, man. I know us as entrepreneurs, we're all impatient. We want like instant gratification, instant success. But it's like, look, man, we got to slow down enough to make sure we have our systems process, a lot of these things dialed in, and you decided to, hey, man, I got to get in the trenches for long enough to really know this stuff, to know what my agents need and to support them at the highest level. And so then, so 18 months ago, you decide like, hey, man, I feel like we've got our operationally, we're solid enough to flip on that switch and start recruiting, and to go from, 15 agents to 100 in that amount of time. Kind of talk to us about, because dude, whether you're team leading, we have a lot of team leaders and broker owners that listen to this, and it just seems like so many stay small. You meet so many in that, let's just talk about brokerage, that 30 to 50 range. You never seem to be able to get beyond that, because they have a tough time, whether it's recruiting and whatever that may be. Like, what happened in the last 18 months to flip that switch on to really create this expansion? I'm sure with the momentum you guys have, when we have a conversation 2 years, you'll probably be at 1,000, right?
I don't know, man. We'll see. But so, it's just more of learning what's needed in the brokerage, right? So, having, and we still need to make this better, but having a weekly consistent training with different topics, putting it, inviting the team to the office, also putting it on our, putting it online for those that can't make it so they can watch it virtually. Doing more events with the team, right? So we were doing a brewery tour every month. There's tons of breweries, just like a lot of cities, popping up all over Charlotte. So every month we went to a new brewery and got the team together for that, and allowed them to invite different people they might know that just want to kind of meet some new people, use it as more of a networking event and just exclusively a Costello real estate and an investments event. And then we also, we have a huge culture here of winning together. And I really started, we really started pushing that right around that 18-month mark when it was time to grow. And we rolled out our recruiting incentive and things like that, where the teams truly feels like business partners and owners when they help us grow. And it's not just a thank you and pat on the back. It's truly, we show it and they know it, and it's very transparent, and they just get behind it. And it's morphed itself into just an amazing culture where everyone just kind of wants to help everybody. They feel like they can be successful here, even outside of just their real estate transactions. So we don't have that secretive vibe that you might see. Just everyone's really open. And before you know it, you got agents helping other agents that they don't even have anything financially or anything to gain from it. It just created an attitude and culture here that's different, in my opinion. And, I would say those things like that is what really we started pushing 18 months ago, because it was time to grow, where we might have been a little more cautious and held it back out of fear of growing too fast the first couple of years before we were ready.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I mean, we're in this industry where, most real estate offices that you go into, and just industry wide, most people operate from the scarcity mindset. It's like, hey, man, for me to succeed, John, you got to fail, right? And the reality is, look, I can succeed, you can succeed. There's enough business to go around where we can succeed together and help uplift each other. But when it comes to creating that culture, because I'm sure when you started creating this culture, maybe some of your agents not from you or your brokerage, but maybe previous experiences, they kind of had that scarcity mindset. How do you start getting buy-in and getting your agents to go out there and kind of have that abundance mindset?
You know what? At this stage, I don't really even have to. They just kind of feel it as soon as they come in and see the way whether you're a middle of the road producer at this stage of your business at our firm or one of the top, they see the way people are sharing. And even the team members here that are really busy, whose businesses are blowing up and, have every excuse in the world to say, I can't find time. And for some reason, they manage to do it. So I found that becomes contagious, right? But it really starts with, to get it going, you have to be genuine. When you say that, when we say winning together, which is a huge thing in our culture, there's got to be some substance to it, right? It's got to be real. It's got to be genuine. And they got to believe it. And once they do, I found that you don't need to manage that, in my opinion. It just kind of happens organically, and it's a really nice thing.
Yeah, love it, dude. So, speaking from the brokerage side, and this also applies to team leaders, but, I think most broker owners or team leaders out there, they get to a position where, maybe their agent's production is covering their overhead, but they've got to stay in production. And they get to a point where everything that they sell is pure profit, which is good to get to, right? But they never fully get themselves to a position where they can step out of production and create enough revenue to pay themselves a salary and do these things. And there's kind of that fine line. Like, we want to give our agents so much and offer so much value, but margins can be thin and things like that. So, what were some things, whether it was mistakes that you made or things that you've learned in order to kind of find that balance so you can be profitable as an actual broker owner?
Well, one is just getting through the learning lessons of trying different technologies that sound good maybe, or sound like they're going to be a fit, and just learning how to vet those better. So that's been big for me, because I've definitely made some mistakes that I could have avoided by, maybe going on some brokerage. There's brokerage Facebook groups out there. There's agent Facebook groups out there. I mean, there's so much. There's your podcast that you do at GSD. There's so much information out there. And, just coming into a new industry, right, starting a business, you can miss the simplest things like that and just start making decisions that are really not, you're not truly vetting out all the way with the free resources that are out at my fingertips. So I'm more self-aware of those, right? So I can avoid some of those hurdles more by asking the right people that have invested in these technologies before, in processes and things like that, what they did and how they did and what they felt about it. So that helps. Just going through the learning lessons of knowing what questions to ask the different providers and partners to make sure you're making the best decision possible for the business. Really, yeah, I mean, those are two pretty big ones for me.
Yeah. And I love something that you said earlier of, this isn't a company that necessarily you built or you and your wife built, even though, you're the business owners, but you've ditched the ego where it's like, hey, we're going to get feedback from all of our agents and create the culture and the environment and the brokerage that they want, and a lot of broker owners have this mindset, like, all the agents work for me, right? And the reality is a broker exists to help agents go out there and create success and accomplish their goals in the quickest, most profitable and effective fashion. And it creates these win-wins. Without the agents, brokers don't exist. And, there is that fine line with the win-win relationship there. What do you do out there to go out there and collectively get their feedback? And, is it just constant surveys, or, how are you collecting that data? What are you doing with that? How frequent? And then, how do you analyze it and make decisions on what you're able to implement and what you can't?
Yeah. So, for us, really our culture, open door policy, they come in whenever they want. I encourage it. It doesn't bother me at all. They know they can call me whenever they want. I'm always asking them for feedback. So when different situations pop up, I don't let it marinate for a week or two. I try to jump on it right when it's real time to get that real feedback. And I explain to them that, give me the bad stuff, right? Like, that's what's going to make us better. Don't hold back. Tell me all that. So that really helps. We're starting to do more surveys and things like that and ask for feedback. We have just like most, right? We have an agent private Facebook group where there's constantly feedback being passed back and forth. So that's been big to get the feedback. But really what helps, Joshua, is, even though we're just hit over 100 team members, all 99% of them have been referred by the team. So I've chosen to stay disciplined, right? Let the team grow the team. So let the team grow the firm, because then it becomes their firm more than my firm. Does that make sense? So rather than spending my money to go pitch the real estate schools, I haven't done a single one yet. Hire recruiters that specialize. I came from the recruiting industry. So Aerotech, like I said, is a huge recruiting company. I've at least 100 contacts here locally that are experts at identifying talent and lining me up to people, lining me up interviews to see the platform. I've chosen not to do any of that just because we want to be in this for the long haul. And I believe it would create in the end a culture that's, really tough to beat because we're growing it. It's not that we're growing, it's how we're growing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for us, we just made that decision to stay patient, incentivize the team to grow it, get their buy-in and get them to the point where they really believe in the culture here and what we're doing, make sure we're bringing in the right people, and it just kind of grows itself from there. But, in the beginning, it definitely took, because I'm not that patient, like you said earlier, it took discipline to not chase it and, trying to get people, I got all this infrastructure and, not a whole lot of agents yet, but I just kind of remained patient and said, hey, it's going to pay off in the end if you do. And that's the approach we've taken with it. So that's helped a lot as well.
So then when it comes to, because I think the dream is for most brokerages and also team leaders is to create an environment where you're not actively having to recruit or like you said, pay that, that big chunk of money to a recruiter and instead create an incentive program where, your agents, you're able to grow more organically. What are some things that you've done, to incentivize your agents and get that buy-in, effectively to go out there? Because again, you guys are growing massively, but like you said, you're not sitting there buying all these agents coffee every day and talking, trying to sell them on you. These people are just coming to you.
Exactly. So remaining patient, right? That's empowered our agents to have the confidence to go do it and know that we're not going to cut them out of it, right? We want them to grow. We want to share. We want to win together. So that's just such a big part of our culture. That definitely, I think, helps motivate those folks to do that, knowing that we're not behind the scenes trying to, draw in all this talent so we can show the platform and cut them out of it. So that's helped. But really from, I don't want to get into the financials just because I found when you get too deep into financials on stuff like this, stuff can be misrepresented. But essentially, when an agent helps us grow here, and the numbers work, they really do, it's proven. But when they help us grow here, roughly 40 cents on the dollar is going to go back to them in passive revenue share. It's all top line revenue, right? So it's not based on profitability. But again, I'm not paying them anything unless they are bringing in revenue to the brokerage that we never would have had based on just having their eyes and ears open and sharing the culture and asking, hey, you want to come in for a free 30 to 60 minute meeting to see what we do here and why I enjoy being there. That's really been our approach, and it's organic at this point, man. We don't run any ads. We're not out there, like I said, pitching the schools. We're just letting them run with it, and it's been pretty powerful.
Yeah, no, I think it's killer, man. And I mean, you're seeing that that's what agents want. There's other companies now that are doing, revenue share platforms and that's, I mean, the growth is just explosive, right? And, one thing now, I'm not a broker owner, I'm an agent that operates a team, but one thing that's always been frustrating for me is, okay, I'll go out there and spend all this effort recruiting an agent, bring them in, and then maybe they're on my team for 2 years, and then they leave the team, but they decide to stay with the brokerage. And dude, it's like my broker owner gets all the benefit. They're always winning. I'm like, well, what the fuck, dude? Right? So I love that model. So even if, like, let's just say I'm a team leader at your company, I recruit internally onto my own team. Does that still apply all the way through?
Yeah. So not only do you as a team leader get a cap on yourself and a reduced cap for all your team members underneath due to the fact that you're obviously taking on more mentorship, leadership costs, time to lead your company, to lead your team within our umbrella. Not only do you get all that, but you also get passive revenue share, assuming that those team members you've actually brought in yourself, you're going to get revenue share on top of it. So out of our cap, we're giving a portion back to the team leader, and that only increases once that team leader comes to you in 2 years, Joshua, and says, hey, I've outgrown the model. You've been great to me. Can't thank you enough, but I'm ready to be my own agent or for a higher split, so I can get a higher split, or hey, I want to go start my own team. Folks like yourself, sure, you're going to be happy for them and take a lot of pride in that. But it also, to an extent, from a business perspective, it can be tough, right? If you're spending all this time and money and buying leads, and then they just take that with them in 18 to 24 months, and then someone else gains from that, yes, you're going to be happy for your team member. but wouldn't it be nice if you can also continue to capitalize and feel good about that way too? So when that happens in our model, which, is common in the industry, they actually do make more money in revenue share when they roll back to the brokerage or go start their own team. So it puts a team leader in a position where it's like, hey, you outgrow me, it's all good. Let's get you there. What are your goals? What do you want to do? I want what's best for you, and really mean it, because even if you do make those investments, it's going to come back to you in the end. As long as us here at Costello haven't given them any reason to want to leave, then, that's a great thing for the team leader as well. And it's certainly a protection play in our business. And we haven't brought over a ton of teams yet. We're definitely starting to. We just had a 6-person team come over. We have a few here already, but I expect that trend to continue as more awareness gets created around what we're doing here and the model and the team structure and all that, because it definitely protects those team leaders that are running successful businesses, but are dealing with the frustration of constantly having to retrain, constantly having to reinvest, and then someone else benefits from all that work and effort you put in. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how it works here.
Yeah, no, I love it, dude. Yeah, I mean, because it gets to a point where it's, you see this trend, or we've seen this trend in the past, where you're a successful team leader and you get to the point where, because of things with the traditional model of how it works, you're just like, screw it, I'm just going to go open my own brokerage to prohibit that from happening. And I don't think most real estate agents just assume all these broker owners are so rich, right? And it's like, dude, if you really see the P&Ls and how the profit the profit margins are so much higher in operating a team in a brokerage. And if you eliminate that problem, for a lot of team leaders, that's going to keep them just running their team. And, dude, and also within real estate, it's like, you're always this hamster in the wheel. You close one transaction, you get paid, and you got to get the next one. So the fact that now you're able to create that passive income, I think, is just massive.
Yeah, like, we have a guy in our team that has only been really focusing on recruiting at all. And it's really an organic flow of his day at open houses, on transactions, and post-licensing class, continuing education. He's not even making this whole separate effort outside of his business. But by the end of this year, he'll be making 6 figures in passive income. And he's getting his team up and going as well. So it really protects. And for me, I just want to, hey, how do I create a situation where our top talent, our top team leaders don't want to go start a brokerage, right? Where it doesn't even make business sense for them unless they really want their name on the building, or there's other factors that are motivating to do it, which certainly, I would understand. But, the idea is from a business financial perspective, how do I create that win-win where really financially doesn't make business sense for them to go and take on all the headaches and cost of the infrastructure and compliance and everything else that comes along with it. And that's what we've tried to establish here. And so far it's working. Yeah,
no, it'll be awesome to see how it evolves, man, because like my mind goes, I'm like, dude, I would just become a full-time recruiter for your company. I mean, 40 cents a company dollar, and I don't have any expenses. I'm like, hell yeah, I just become a full-time recruiter.
Yeah, man. We have some that are taking recruiting seriously like that and turning it into a business. We have some that are kind of doing it passively and organically throughout the course of their day. And then we have some that aren't interested at all. And that's fine with me. And I make sure I tell everyone that I meet with, no matter if they're an experienced agent or not, doesn't matter. I make sure I tell them we are not a recruiting company. We're just not. Our first goal is to become the best real estate company we can be. But even more importantly, our job and our responsibility is to help you build great real estate businesses. Because if not, why the heck would you want to share your commission with us? Yeah. So, that's just kind of how we look at it.
Yeah. So you're not trying to just become a straight up MLM, right? It's
it's single level. It's ultra transparent because it's based on revenue. It's literally impossible for me to mess with their money without completely disrupting the culture. But really that whole revenue share thing and the recruiting incentive is just to, we're not a recruiting company. Like I said, and I make sure everyone knows that. That's not the priority, but it's my way, right? It's our way of putting our money where our mouth is, so to speak, and saying, hey, we're really in this together. I don't view you as an agent. You're not an agent. You're my business partner. We're 2 independent business owners choosing to partner and work together. And if you help us grow outside of your business, well, heck, I should be happy to share that with you, because you're going to be that much more loyal. It's going to be that much harder to recruit you. You're going to be able to reinvest in your business or take care of your family at a higher level. And you're not going to be out there looking for the next best thing, and you're going to want to go get more of it. So it just makes sense. It really does.
Yeah. Love it. So then, because okay, if you went out there and employed a recruiter, let's just say you're, whatever the average recruiter salary is, like 50 grand salary plus, $500 on their first transaction or whatever that, that typically is. Because you could probably get away with doing that for less than 40 cents on the company dollar, right? Like what prohibits you from blowing that up? Is it because it will potentially disrupt the culture, or is it just something that you haven't went yet? Do you see yourself maybe going that path to recruit higher, or is it just, hey, we're never going to go that path?
It's hard to say because, I feel like I learn something new every day, and what I needed a month ago, I need something different this month. So it's changing so fast. It'd be hard for me to say I will never, but no, I don't have any interest in taking that away from the agents, because that's what makes this place different. That's what they believe in. That's why they choose to be here. That's why we have some agents turning down massive sign-on bonuses to leave us, because they really believe in what we're doing here in the big picture. And it might not be so much where we are today, sitting here in the Charlotte market, and we also have a new market in Raleigh and 100 people. It might not be that today, but it's where they think it's going and what they believe they can do within it, and the culture they ultimately want to be a part of. So I do believe if I went that route, Joshua, and just started hiring recruiters, which obviously we could do, we would lose something in the culture that would hurt us in other ways. And I don't think it's in the best interest of the business or the partnership long-term. I really don't.
Yep. Love it. So then, you said something earlier about when you talked about what you learned from the corporate world, and you brought up the word accountability, and we see, it's like in my real estate team, man, no matter how much training I deliver my agents, like I want to make sure they're trained and they know their stuff.
Yeah.
But until there's an element of accountability that's involved, that's where we see that, big leaps in production, right? Through that. But, you got independent contractors. It's kind of hard to hold them accountable. What are some of the things that you've done internally with your training and with your culture to kind of create a little bit of accountability?
Yeah, so that's still a work in progress for us, Joshua. We're still dialing that in. We still want to amp up the accountability whilst giving, not losing the agent's ability to feel like an independent business owner, right? Because if they wanted to work in a corporation, they would. They choose to do real estate because probably a lot of them do want to feel free and don't want to be micromanaged to death. But there's a balance, right? And I'm still trying to figure that out. But just a small example, I guess, would be, my first couple years, right? Just lessons learned and things that I'm, how I'm growing in this role and on this journey. The first probably 2-3 years, if I'm being completely honest, when you're so small and you have so many costs, you're kind of afraid, right? You're afraid to say the wrong thing or rub someone the wrong way or make them feel like you're trying to manage them to a level they don't want to be. But, I just kind of gone back to my roots more recently, and what helped make me successful in my corporate world were those people above me, right? Those people above me, side by side with me, below me, holding me accountable and pushing me and making me realize things that maybe I don't. Maybe I have some blind spots and don't realize without that help. So really just recently, I just started grabbing people more in the office, asking them what are they working on? I seen you here the last 4 days. What are you working on? Especially those newer agents, right, that are trying to get their business going, and just really point blanking them and being direct and brutally honest on things they maybe don't want to hear but need to hear. And that's taken me a little while to realize that when I do that, I'm helping them, because successful people and people that want to be successful deep down, they really want that. They want someone to care about them at that level, to take that interest, and maybe have an uncomfortable conversation, because I've always believed giving direct feedback and giving that constructive criticism is harder for the person giving it than it is to receive it. So I've really been making a conscious effort in that and trying to push it around the team as well. And, just amp up the accountability and asking those tough questions and pushing them when they need to be pushed, maybe more so than I did in the beginning, because I realized if I don't do that, or if we don't do that, you're hurting them more than you're helping them. And that's not fair either to them. So that's kind of how I look at it. But in terms of different process things and, more hiring more people, right, to give me the bandwidth I need to do more of that one-on-one productivity. We still do one-on-ones where we encourage it. We're able to do it. But we'll continue to make it better over time and find those ways to amp up the accountability as much as possible.
Yeah, love it, dude. So then, yeah, I mean, you guys experienced a lot of growth here in the last, year and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, do you guys have a vision for how big you want to take this? I mean, do you see yourself going, outside of this? I mean, obviously you're in the two, or right there in the 2 states, but do you see yourselves expanding beyond that, going nationwide? I mean, like, where do you see this going?
Yeah. So for me, I don't like to put a number on it just because we aren't just looking for bodies. We're not. We've certainly turned people down. If someone we're just not sure about, but seems to have a potential, we're not afraid to invest in those people and give them an opportunity. So I don't have a head count number. I do believe it's going to keep growing, whether we want it is irrelevant. It's going to keep growing, and we are excited about it, and it's exciting for the team as well. In terms of the vision, I do foresee us continuing to expand out into the Carolinas, as the right business partners to help run those markets present themselves. We will continue to do that. And an example is our Raleigh operation. I have a great business partner out there that's co-owner in that market. And, were we ready to go yet? No, we probably weren't, because we still have a heck of a lot to accomplish here in Charlotte. But, I met with the guy 4 or 5 times, morally and ethically aligned, believes in the vision, 13 years of real, executive level real estate experience, top producer in multiple markets. I just decided to go for it because I know that the right business partners is hard to find. But as that continues and those opportunities present themselves, we'll keep going to the Carolinas, different markets in both North and South Carolina. And as far as beyond that, I'm really not thinking too far past that as of now, but I can certainly see it potentially going that way once we really, grab the Carolinas and then just reevaluating from there and see what happens.
Yeah, love it, dude. So, with all this growth that you're experiencing and I mean, growing pains can be tough, right? Like, people don't understand that until you've actually grown. And sometimes growth pains can be harder than slow pains. And, but I know, all right, so you're also married, you've got you got your family, you've got all this going on. Now you got all these agents that are, it's really easy to become the God-a-minute person, to get into a reactive state, to not be able to manage your schedule, to not have any type of quality of life, to lose that focus maybe on the family. And what are some things on a personal level that you do, whether it's with your schedule or a daily planning, reflection routine or whatever, to keep all of these things together, not, drop some of those balls on those really critical things in your life?
All right. So I'll be real with you. It's been a struggle for me. It really has. Just, it's all happened so fast, and because I've never owned and run a business before, everything's kind of new, and I'm learning as I go, and I'm definitely leaning on people to make sure I get the support I need. But it's hard, right? I have 2 daughters, 6 and 2, and there's 6 and 3 now. She just turned 3. I lose sight of that sometimes. I do. I spend time with them every day, but I do get caught up in it a little bit, and that's something I continue to work through because I don't want to lose sight of what also is important, and the family needs me as well. But I'll figure it out, right? All this growth has happened pretty recently, so it's still very fresh. I'm self-aware of it. I try to put the phone down for a couple hours. Sometimes I do good with it. Sometimes I don't. But at the same time, I'm also all in on this too, right? And I feel responsibility to our team because they can go. I mean, there's 1,000 different brokerages in Charlotte. They can go anywhere they want. And if I'm not adding value and accessible to them, then, why would they want to be here? So it's just something I take really seriously, and I care about them, and I want to see them do well, and I just want to be there for them. Whether I have the answer or not right away, I always want to get it for them. But you're right. I'm eventually going to need to, as we hire more layers of support, right, create those buffers and still be there for the team when they need it. But I may not always be able to be the God-a-minute guy. But it's something I'm very much aware of and want to continue to get better at and find those that balance with, personal time, family time, and the business. But as of right now, man, I'm running pretty wide open.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's just these seasons in life.
I'm just being honest.
Sometimes we got to do it, man.
Just being honest.
Yeah, everybody talks about this word balance. I'm like, sometimes for entrepreneurs, man, there's been times in my life that have been balanced. There's times where I'm way out of balance, and sometimes you just got to go chips on and get that buy-in from the family and make it happen.
Yeah, and they've been really, my wife, Natalie, obviously we're in this business together, so she understands this has actually made our marriage amazing because we can relate to each other more than we've ever been able to. So it's been a blessing from that standpoint. We understand what one another's going through. We have our different roles and responsibilities, so we can divide and conquer as needed. We never, because our strengths and weaknesses are really different, we never are stepping on one another, so that definitely helps. But, Natalie and my girls, the rest of my family, they've been really patient and understanding and supportive and kind of know my personality. And I will figure it out. Anytime I start something new, whether it be here in the corporate world, this is kind of how I roll, but I will figure it out and find that balance. But just for right now, I'm doing the best I can with it because I don't really know, for me anyway, any other way to make it successful without going all in, especially in these early years.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it, man. Love it. So John, if those that are watching and listening, maybe they're in your market, in your area, they want to get in touch with you. I've got some friends and how we got connected is I got some friends and even some personal coaching clients that are agents inside your brokerage. And you're the real deal, man. They rant and rave about it. They've never experienced anything like it in their life. Right. So if those that are watching, listen, want to talk to you, learn more about your company, where's the best place to do that?
Yeah, so really, you guys can, anybody can call me anytime, email me. My email is John, John, at CostelloREI.com. My personal number is also on our website, www.CostelloREI.com. You can enter an inquiry through our careers page as well, which we'll receive. But really, the advice I'd give anyone that's listening is call one of our agents, right? I don't want to cut them out of it. Like I said, I really mean it when I say I want to grow the business, grow the firm, grow the partnership through them because I believe in what it can be in the end. So just, call one of our agents, go on our website, randomly call a few of them and just, ask them for their honest feedback on what's going on here and why they like it and why they chose this partnership over maybe some others. And, allow that agent to go ahead and make that connection and line up an opportunity for them to come in and just check out our platform, no strings attached. That would be my advice.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Love it, love it, love it. So, all right. So the John today, knowing everything that you know now through this learning curve of this last, few years that you've been at this, could go back and have a conversation with the John when you first started this journey and give yourself like two pieces of advice that you feel would fast forward your trajectory to success. What would those two pieces of advice look like?
One, rather than just running and trying to make stuff happen out of the gate, just out of being excited and wanting to get stuff done, maybe take a step back and leverage all the resources out there. Like I wasn't on GSD right away. I didn't know about it right away when I first got into this industry. I just had too many other things on my mind. I didn't know about the broker war room, the chat group that Inman created on Facebook, where there's hundreds of brokerage owners going through same struggles that I am. I didn't know about that group for the first, while. So really just taking the time to research, right? To research, ask around, find out what's out there. I could have saved myself a lot of pain, really. And then outside of that, just, I don't know. It's hard to say I could have done anything different because I was pretty cautious the first 2 years. I didn't do anything crazy, right? I did sign a lease, maybe more than we needed at first, so maybe that was something I could have done differently. But now we own the building we sit in, so I feel really good about that decision. We didn't make that one right away out of the gate. We waited 3 years to 2.5, 3 years to make that decision. So really, that's the main thing. Just taking the time up front, right, to understand all the amazing free resources and all the time folks like you are putting into, creating great content, great learning materials, and really giving everyone a way to connect with one another pretty seamlessly is probably what I just wasn't self-aware about enough up front, and could have saved myself a lot of time and money had I done it that way.
Yep. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So those that are watching and listening, I know I interview podcasts with this, but information without implementation truly is just a start of delusion. Information is the power. It's taking that information, taking massive action on it that creates the power inside your life for you to go out there and create the life you want, deserve. And John shared so many amazing pieces of advice with you guys. It takes something that you learn, go out there and take immediate massive action on it. So again, you can go out there and create the life that you know you won't deserve. And again, right below, wherever you're watching or listening, will be all John's contact information, their company website, all of their links. So go check that out. And John, man, I know how busy you are. I truly appreciate you taking time. I'm busy to be here, brother.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Real quick, I do a quick shout out.
Yeah, 100%.
The hat I'm wearing here, Flat Bill Friday, is one of a great agent on our team. One of our team members here has found a really creative way to mark, kind of like you have, right? To market his business, to connect people without even talking about real estate. It's more lifestyle. It's more of a lifestyle brand. The brand is Flat Bill Friday. The guy that started is Steve Lana, and you can find his information at flatbillfriday.co on Instagram. And Flat Bill Friday on Facebook. And he's putting out really cool content every week. He's just getting it going, so it's only going to keep getting better. And I think everyone enjoyed it. Again, our culture's so big on winning together. I kind of feel like it's my responsibility and job to promote our team as I can. So I appreciate the opportunity you let me do it.
Yeah, 100%. So flatbillfriday.co. And again, we'll have that link below as well. So you guys we'll make it easy on so you can just go click it, check it out, get a hat, and give some love. So all right, you guys, thanks again for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Joshua. Appreciate it, everybody.